Look, okay, I'm late. I know. It's the end of January. But on the bright side, this video should be going up on my birthday, so happy birthday future me. And what better way to celebrate than talking about some great games that I played last year? Because that's what this list is. It's not necessarily games that had to have come out in 2022, I just had to have played them for the first time in 2022. So there's some games that did come out in 2022, but also some cult classics, some absolutely legendary games, and some surprising mentions. Oh, and of course, full spoilers ahead. If you see a title card come up and you don't want to know what happens, just skip ahead to the next one. Now, let's kick it off with number 10. Pokemon Violet and Scarlet are two of the most broken Pokemon games I have ever played. We're talking Bethesda-style buggy here, and well, I love some Bethesda-style bugginess. Plus, I actually did just really enjoy playing it. My main issue with these games, I think, is that they just came out at the wrong time for me. I've been on a bit of a Pokemon nostalgia trip recently, so the open world style wasn't quite what I was looking for at the time. But nonetheless, it had some of the best characters we've seen in years, some great new Pokemon, and at the end of the day, it was just a fun Pokemon game. But that's enough Pokemon for now. Now it's time to get really hardcore. Okay, in all seriousness, I was strongly considering putting Doom Eternal at number 10. But anyway, I played Stardew Valley for the first time this year, and it is just the most delightful, relaxing game ever. Unless you're trying to get home before 2 with all your loot from the mines, but that's not the point. It's lovely, it really is. There's honestly not much more to say, it's just really nice. If you ever just want to sit back, plant some crops, and bully Clint, this really is the game for it. The next game, however, is something else entirely. Yeah, you weren't expecting this one, were you? I sort of knew what I was getting into. I watched a playthrough of this years ago, but I'd forgotten most of it, and the new edition had extra content, so I figured why not. And it is still one of the weirdest, most dissonant games out there. I knew it was coming, and yet the part where she says your name at the end still kind of freaked me out. The new content was great too, the stories were actually quite nice, but there's this weird other story that's going on in the background with the people making the game, no monikers sentient and stuff. It's just really weird, and I kinda love it for that. Of course, if you haven't played the game and you're maybe thinking about it, do be aware it contains some pretty heavy topics, as in stuff YouTube would not like if I mentioned. But let's get back to some more lighthearted stuff, shall we? Yep, we're back to Pokemon, and this one is honestly a nigh-on perfect Pokemon game. I played the original back when it came out, but I'd never gotten around to its sequel, and I really wish I had done, because this game has everything. The only thing I would mark it down for was I feel the original had a slightly better story, but it more than makes up for that with the endgame content. The legendary hunting, the fact you get to battle every gym leader and Elite Four member from previous games, and even a challenge run mode that makes the game significantly harder. It really had it all, and it absolutely scratched that itch I had for a classic Pokemon experience. But unfortunately, I need to go back to work. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. What a way to make an expansion slash remaster slash sequel slash infinite sequels. Whatever it is just incredible. Kevin Brighting is just fantastic to listen to. The comedy is on point throughout, and its commentary is just so well done. There isn't even much more I want to say. If you've not played this one, I highly recommend it, or even just go watch a playthrough. It is such a wonderful experience. Top 5 now, and we are getting spicy with these ones. Number 5 and 4 are sort of interchangeable, but I think I'm happy with where they are. There's something about Souls games that is just satisfying. The mix of tight, responsive combat and getting through tough bosses just makes them hard to put down. And when it comes to bosses, Dark Souls 3 has some of the best out there, and the scores for them are incredible. The first boss after the tutorial is Vault, and you've probably all heard that theme a million times because it's so iconic. Now, some people do complain this game tends to suck off Dark Souls 1 a lot, and I mean, yeah, it does. However, I like Dark Souls 1. The reason I have 1 above 3 is simply the combat. There's something about the simplicity and even the clunkiness that I just really like for some reason. And of course this one has its own selection of incredible bosses: Smo and Ornstein, Gwyn, Nito, and who could forget everyone's favourite Bed of Chaos. And sure, there's some difficulty to it, there's definitely a learning curve when you start playing these games, but once you pass that and you can appreciate the world and the way it's structured to lead you down a set path, but also have the freedom to do things how you want, that's when you start to see why all the FromSoft fans love these games so much. And then you want to be doing nothing but watching lore videos. What's not to love? But now, it's top 3 time. Persona 5 Royal has, hands down, the best soundtrack of any video game. I know, what about Halo, The Elder Scrolls, Dark Souls, Doom, insert game here. And yes, you're right, they're all S-tier soundtracks, S+ even. But Persona 5 Royal is Persona 5 Royal tier. If you disagree, it's okay, you're allowed to be wrong. Also, yeah, the game is actually good too, but who gives a shit? The soundtrack is where it's at. Also, sorry Morgana fans, but he's the worst character in the game. The ending was perfect until he came back. Also, Sojiro is the biggest Giga Chat I have ever seen. What else do I even need to say? 10 out of 10. Elden Ring. The Game Awards Game of the Year, and if not for our number 1 spot, it would have been mine too. I've already made a full video on why I love this game so much, which I'll link down below, but to sum it up briefly, the combat feels incredible, the world building is on point, and the game is absolutely gorgeous. This game got me into FromSoft games, and in my opinion, absolutely deserved the Game of the Year award for 2022. So then, why, you ask, is it number 2 on the list? Well, number 1 is an absolute classic, a titan of RPGs, and one of the greatest games I have ever played. Yeah, it's all 3 games. It's my list, I'll do what I want. And they're basically just one big game anyway. Now, I already made a video on Mass Effect at the start of last year, but it's a little bit outdated, so let's do it better. I played the Mass Effect trilogy for the first time last January, and I didn't expect much more than killing a few hours. But it took over pretty much the entire month. Everything from the world building, to the sound design, to the story, had me encapsulated from day one. It was truly a phenomenal experience. But of course, the one thing that makes this series so memorable are the characters. The relationship you as Shepard have with the rest of your crew is what keeps you so grounded in this world. They react to the choices you make and the events that go on in a way that reminds you what is happening in the universe actually affects people. The things you do in Mass Effect 1 can have an impact all the way into 3, and that level of detail is simply outstanding. You get so invested in these characters, and I said this in the original video, but there's a scene in Mass Effect 3 where Garrus and Tali can get together, and I felt so genuinely happy for these 2 fictional characters in a way that was not and has never been replicated since, and that is why it is my 2022 Game of the Year. Now, if you've made it this far, you might be interested in a little channel update. I took a bit of a break from, well, everything recently. I spent most of the time the past month seeing family, but starting in February, we're getting back to it. Some lore, some mods, and some video essay-esque type things on various games to keep a bit of variety. Maybe I'll even upload on my second channel somewhat regularly. Who knows? But for as long as you've been here, thanks for the support and for sticking with me.